A former news anchor finds herself in the news this morning after she was charged with the murder of her mother.
I remember my mom would put it in one of these cans like you suggested and just put it in and it would cool and then she'd throw it away.
Exactly.
And you said from 8 to 5 they can come pick this up?
They can come and pick those up.
All right, so that was Angelynn Mock on the air. Little look back in time. Well, this is her the other day when her mugshot was taken. She's being held on $1 million bond and accused of first-degree murder. Her 80-year-old mother, Anita Avers, was found unresponsive with multiple stab wounds at her home on Friday. Avers was later pronounced dead at a local hospital, and police say that Angelynn Mock was at the scene outside of her mother's home, just feet away from where her mom was located in her bed. Now, according to her LinkedIn profile, Mock worked as a reporter at the local Fox station in St. Louis from the years 2011 to 2014, or 2015, rather. No motivation for the crime has been cited by investigators as of this morning. Now, as the investigation continues, we're asking, how did this woman go from reporting the news to making the news? Let's bring in our power panel. Still with me, Lieutenant Mike Gould. Want to welcome in attorneys Melba Pearson and Joe Tamburino. Melba, would you start us off, please? Your thoughts on this woman?
Well, good morning, Julie and my fellow panelists. Yeah, this is definitely really disturbing because this is something I'm sure no one saw coming. This to me almost speaks like that she snapped, literally snapped, because of the level of violence when you're seeing that her mother was stabbed and so many times. I'm very curious to know if there was any domestic violence in the household, just in terms of elder abuse, or was maybe the mother sick and she was the primary caretaker and she just did not know how to handle it. I mean, there's just so many questions that I have here, but just a horrible, horrible tragedy all around.
Yeah, it really is, Melba. Joe Tamburino, what do you think hearing this, please?
Good morning, Julie. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I would agree. Something obviously went on. What I'm wondering is two things. Number one, what's her mental health history? And, basically, could she be trying to use her mental health as a defense? And number two, what exactly did she say after this? Because some reports say that she killed her mother because supposedly she was trying to save herself. Because as, you and I know from covering these cases with a, mental illness defense, it's really important to know what did the defendant say right afterwards, because that goes to their state of mind. So, when she said she did this to save herself, what was she thinking at the time? But I would start out with seeing what was her mental health history.
That's a great question, Joe. Yeah, I want to talk to you more about that potentially being a defense here. Lieutenant Gould, your take on this. This woman is described as a veteran broadcast journalist on her LinkedIn profile with 12 years of experience. What do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Julie, for having me. Yeah, I agree with both co-hosts, or commentators, I should say. This matricide is very rare. Matricide takes place in about 4%, 3% of all homicides. When a daughter kills her mother, that's even less. So 90% of matricides are committed by men. So this was unusual. I think this is going to really boil down to schizophrenia, some type of delusional episode. I know there was not a lot of history on her mental health, but I think this is just going to boil down to insanity defense, where she just snapped, as Melba said, and stabbing a mother. It's very emotional, very intimate. And so I think that's going to be at the core of this whole thing. And it's a little premature at the moment to speculate further on that.
Right. You made some really great points just now. I want to explore these further. So matricide, the killing of one's mother. And you said typically, Lieutenant, typically it's men who do this, sons who would kill their mother if we have this kind of situation, not a daughter. So that right there kind of strikes you as odd.
Yeah, completely. It's happened. We know the Mendez brothers killed their parents. We know back here on Long Island, the Amityville Horror, Ron DeFeo killed his entire family. So you will find these things happening, unlikely or unusual is parents will kill their children before their parents, which is very odd to me. A mother will kill their, as we talked in other segments. So yeah, I find this odd. I really can't think it. And it's always usually this mental breakdown where they think they're putting somebody out of their misery or something like that. So I think it's going to be schizophrenia, psychosis, mental breakdown.
Something like that. Yeah, let's explore that further. So Joe Tamburino, you touched on this a little bit. Talk to us, please, about the next steps for Angelynn Mock as she's in the jail. What needs to happen with her, and then how might this defense progress?
Well, two things I think will happen. First, the defense will raise some type of insanity defense and get her an evaluation. And then the court, probably through the prosecutor's request, is going to get another evaluation, because when you raise insanity in most states, the defense has a right to get an evaluation, and so does the state. I mean, the courts will order it because you've got to see from both sides where this person is. But getting back to, what she said right after the alleged incident, as we know, it's so important to see what a defendant said right after whatever they did happened. Why? Because it gives a window into their state of mind. In so many of these insanity cases, people will say things that really look like they knew what they were doing. However, in some cases, and they're outliers, they'll commit a murder and then they'll say, they just killed the devil, they just killed a demon, or they just saved themselves, something like that. And, it's already come out that she said supposedly she had to save herself with this. So I'd like to hear more about what did she exactly say.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Joe, thanks. Melba, would you bring us home on this, please? Along the lines of what defenses may be available to this woman. Tell us what else you're thinking when it comes to the evaluation and next procedural steps for Ms. Mock.
Well, my first thought is whether or not she's even capable of standing trial. Does she understand the charges that are against her? So we definitely would need an evaluation in terms of competency to even move forward in this process. Or will she have a situation where she will need to go into treatment to restore her basically to competency so that she can fully participate in a defense of this case? Tell the prosecutor, tell her defense attorney what she's dealing with, and the defense attorney can then follow up with medical records and all of that. But the defendant has to be able to participate in their defense. And so that is the first step to me before anything else.
That's a great point, Melba. Competency. Yeah, I suppose we'll see what happens at her next court appearance. We will be there and be following this case very closely. Great discussion. Thank you all for the insights.